I've always felt alone. When you're not in the place where you belong, you tend to feel that loneliness. But I've always wanted to find a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know how, but I want to get out of this.
Your story started to change even before you were born. On the day your grandfather had to, as you said yourself, flee from Portugal. He came to Brazil, but he didn't bring your grandmother or your mother with him.
My grandmother was born during the war and suffered from poverty and destruction. They lived in extreme poverty and they called all the men and shot all the men on the street.
Your great-grandfather was one of them.
For years, my father wouldn't speak to me. I just wanted his forgiveness for being myself. This is a photo of my father's building after the building collapsed. My father's room, he is right here.
Do you know where I was that day? Here.
That's a lie. I used to tell my mom when she went to work, "You're coming back, but you promise you'll come back, Mom. You'll pick me up at school."
And then one day you told her, "Let's go."
Coming to Brazil was about trying to have a new life. We stayed in one room, so my grandmother, my mother, me, and the dog slept there. We took 3 buses, the ferry, and then 2 more buses. I had friends who basically supported me.
So, how did you go from that situation to deciding I'm going to study journalism?
I want something, and then I think for me, there's no other option. I'm going to make it happen.
When you got to Globo, there was a director who told you that you weren't cut out for television.
This is the moment when I realized that my life is hanging by a thread. My chances of success, yes, are slim. What do? I became a rocket. Each morning, I'd tell myself in the mirror, "You're going to be a reporter, a damn good one." I'd watch the other reporters, including you. For instance, today, I didn't even think about it until I arrived and saw all your photos. I used to say, "Wow, this amazing guy I knew inspired me to think one day I'll steal a company, and now I'm here." Will someone really watch so much about me? That's a lot. Scary.
The episode is starting. It's amazing. But first, an important message. 81% of Emtrezados viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. For you, it's just pressing a button and costs nothing, but for me, it's very important and makes a big difference. So here's my request. Subscribe to the channel and share this episode with someone you think will enjoy it. Hold on, the episode's starting, but I have one more message. If you want to study with me, take all my courses. And also get live mentoring every month on Zoom. Come join the Joana Club. All the details are here in the video description. Go check it out, then let's start the first act. My guest is a woman of immense strength. I would even say she's a rare person like few you've ever met. If necessary, she carries the world on her shoulders or goes around the world to go wherever there's an opportunity for a better life. She began to build her story in Portugal, where she was born, where everything was difficult for her. First, her grandfather, who lived there like a nobleman, had to leave the country in a hurry because of something. And her mother and her grandmother found themselves alone and managed on their own. My guest was only 1 year old when her father, a Brazilian, went to live in the United States, and once again, her mother and her grandmother had to handle everything on their own. The ghost of rejection would haunt my guest for a long time, but that sweet girl grew up and the financial crisis came. And when life in Portugal seemed impossible to her, my guest, still a teenager, made a decisive proposal to her mother and grandmother. What if we relocated to Portugal? They came, lived in a poor community where the Portuguese women felt very afraid. But little by little, they overcame the problems. And my guest found her way. It's a story that had everything to go wrong, but it turned out really well. That's right. And we're going to learn the exciting details from now on. Joana Treptow, come in, let's go.
I know, but I didn't get the reference. I kept wondering if it had something to do with me. I'm sure it does.
But how does coming back relate to the idea of a place waiting for you? Or is Portugal already distant?
Portugal is far away, but it's my homeland. I think I have to go back a lot, and more than just going back physically, which is something I want. I always have to reclaim a lot of what comes from my roots.
Do you visit Portugal sometimes?
I've been back 3 times. Traveling is expensive, right? When you arrive young, you don't have those opportunities. Once you start working, you don't always get vacations, so now I look for new places when I travel.
How do you feel when you arrive in Portugal? What do you feel when you step into that airport?
You've already spent a lot of time away from here, from Brazil.
I've already lived abroad for 15 years.
What's the longest you've been away from here?
Maybe 2 years during the pandemic.
When you come back, it's not just like, oh, it's the smell, it's the temperature, it's the people. The colors are different. I can't really explain it to you. Of course, they're not actually different, but it feels like it's a place that's yours. So I feel like it's me.
It's your home.
Portugal is my home.
What is Brazil?
Brazil, for me, it's hope, it's a future, it's risk, it's a construction.
It's your construction.
I came to Brazil to build, experiment, and take risks.
Your story started to change even before you were born, on the day your grandfather had to, as you yourself said, flee from Portugal. He came to Brazil, but he didn't bring your grandmother or your mother with him.
Yeah, my grandfather fled and my grandmother stayed. My grandmother is Dutch.
He told your grandmother he was leaving Portugal and left.
He told my grandmother a day before.
He didn't invite your grandmother to go with him.
My grandmother, he said, I'm leaving. My grandmother says that, and when I asked her about it recently, she had no problem telling me. She says that he said he was going, but that she herself didn't want to, and there are a lot of things she doesn't tell me. But he came soon after, and my uncle, the youngest son, came to meet him.
It was a problem with the tax issue?
It was a problem. He had problems with his company anyway, with financial problems. Then he had to leave, he had to come, and he came to Brazil. And then my uncle, who was the younger brother, came. He spent a long time. At another time, the older sister, who is my aunt, also came to study in Brazil. My mother always wanted to be with my grandmother.
Only the two of them stayed.
Eventually, only the two of them remained.
How did they survive? Suddenly your grandmother had to work?
Yes, my grandmother left the Netherlands. She was 22 years old. She met my grandfather, fell in love.
She's Dutch.
My Dutch grandmother. She left the Netherlands at 22 to marry my grandfather, went to Portugal, and
She left for her arranged marriage.
they met in the Netherlands because my grandfather worked and did business. He traveled, went to the Netherlands, and they met there. And then he asked her to marry him, and she went to Portugal. She didn't speak a word of Portuguese. He spoke English, but his whole family, which was a big family, that very Portuguese thing, didn't speak English. So she couldn't communicate with my grandfather's family. They couldn't connect. So she was a foreigner coming into the family. My grandmother was married to my grandfather for a few years, and during my mother's teenage years, my mother was 16 years old. There was a major problem.
Which was your grandfather leaving?
That my grandfather came to Brazil and your grandmother.
How did she manage?
It's a very delicate situation, very difficult, because my grandmother's life literally changed overnight. So she had a good life, she didn't need to work, she took care of her children, and then suddenly everything changed. They even had to be taken in and stay in a room at some acquaintance's house because they literally lost everything they had.
Even if your grandfather stayed, he would have lost everything.
Yes, that's why he left.
You told me that your grandfather was like a nobleman, which means son of something. Someone who basically has nobility in history. Your grandfather, what was he in Portugal before everything happened?
I don't know. There are like aspects of the past that I was never really interested in looking into. I think, for example, my grandmother's story is so fascinating. My grandmother's family is so fascinating. I always ask my grandmother about her childhood in the Netherlands, about her life. So I know that my grandfather, at the time he married my grandmother, it was a wealthy family. They had, my grandfather. He had a farm. Okay, it wasn't just a small farm, it was a real property. But anyway, he was well off. But I was always interested in my grandmother's life. My grandmother was born in 1942 in The Hague.
Did you erase your grandfather from your story on purpose or by accident?
I think I unintentionally erased him. I had little contact with my grandfather. We saw each other. I think maybe twice, maybe not even that, but I believe it was twice. And I don't think there's much of a story left there for me to recover. I don't know. Honestly, my bond with my grandmother is so strong that I think I forgot. I'm fascinated by her, my grandmother's story and my mother's story, and always have been. Imagine my grandmother. She was born in the middle of the war.
In The Hague in 1942?
Exactly, a family that was very simple and has a lot of stories to tell. So,
Jewish origin?
no.
No, she was a war victim in some way.
She was a victim of poverty, of destruction. My great-grandfather, look, the slip, he became deaf. During the war, because of the bombs, because of the bombings, they lived in extreme poverty. She had family members and friends who were victims. In fact, there's an unbelievable story. There are several, but one story that I find really impactful is that my great-grandfather went out one day to visit his mother, who lived in another city. There was a distance to travel, and while he was away for a few days, a problem between German soldiers who had occupied a hotel on the canal, on the street where my grandmother lived, a problem.
One of them with the German soldiers?
There was a problem among the soldiers. They killed each other over a gambling game.
My great-grandfather witnessed it.
Great-grandfather was far away. How would they wake up the next day and tell their superiors, the officers, that the soldier had died? They said it was some man from the street. They called all the men and shot all the men from the street.
The children managed to...
Who survived because he wasn't there. He visited his mother, so he was the only man on the street for a while.
You wouldn't be here if he hadn't left.
I would be here. There aren't a bunch of coincidences for me to be here. A lot of things happened and didn't happen for me to be here. So...
Life is incredibly unlikely. Your being here talking to me could be...
Or maybe more likely, it depends on your point of view. Everything happened, right? So that I could be here.
So, your grandmother wanted to leave the Netherlands.
My grandmother didn't. They rebuilt their lives. Her family was actually very active. The Dutch people really came together. That's what my grandmother says. At the moment when the country needed to be rebuilt, her mother worked as a nurse during the war, helping everyone who needed care. And she grew up with the country being rebuilt, and she stayed there until she was 22 years old. She has a deep love for her nation, a deep love for her roots, and even more for the people who gave origin to her family. So my grandmother is very attached to everything that is a tradition of Nordic people, of Vikings, of everything related to that. She really likes it.
So are you a bit of a Viking?
She says yes. Then there are other times, like things about elves, I don't know what, everything mystical. My grandmother really keeps those traditions alive.
What's with the elves?
Oh, I think it's just a way of saying it, but my grandmother believes in everything mystical. Forces, energies, and I think above all, goodness, the energy that vibrates at a level that radiates goodness.
Do you believe in it too?
Yes.
I really believe in leprechauns, yes.
I don't think leprechauns exist, even if some claim they do. I think there are many forms, not because of forms we would imagine some material, but I think there are many ways of life. I think it's very arrogant of us to believe that only this here exists, so I believe in these forces. I believe in traditions that are carried on, like, for example, what my grandmother believes about the Vikings, the habits, the customs. I think we are an evolution. I don't know if necessarily for the better, but we are an evolution of a lot that walks side by side in this universe.
And your grandmother, who learned what war is, what the misery that comes with war is, was there in Portugal when suddenly she found herself alone. Yes, she faced misery.
I think so. And I think that when we went back to Brazil, or rather when we came to Brazil, I think that happened again. So my grandmother, when my grandfather left, she had to start her life over from scratch. She truly had nothing at all, not even in her own name.
Nothing. What does that mean? She had nowhere to live.
She had nowhere to live. She had nothing. She didn't own anything. She didn't have any possessions. She had no security at all. A Dutch woman who barely spoke Portuguese.
Her. How long had she been in Portugal then?
She had. I think my mother was 16 years old. She must have been about 20 years old. But my grandmother, to this day, with all due respect, she speaks the best Portuguese she can. But my grandmother still has difficulty communicating.
I saw your grandmother in your Instagram post.
She is amazing. I mean, she is the most special person in the world, along with my mom.
And your grandmother? Did she go take care of children? How was that? But she didn't have a house, so how did she take care of those children at home?
Later, a long time later, she managed to have a house, so everything took a long time.
In the beginning, she had help from someone.
My mother went to work.
When she was 16 years old as well.
They went to work and had to make that move to have the bare minimum.
But your mother did.
She had the minimum. My mother soon started working in tourism, which is what my mother still does today. So my mother soon started working at a travel agency. Later, she built her whole life in tourism, but she started working there in a job, right? And that's how she...
If your mother and grandmother helped each other...
Yes.
And suddenly...
I think my mother helped my grandmother more at that time.
Suddenly a Brazilian appeared.
And suddenly, a few years later, a Brazilian showed up. Because, honestly, I think a lot had to happen for me to be here. So my mom started working in tourism, and eventually she started working at KLM in Porto, Portugal.
At the base, she didn't fly, no.
Not at the airport, and meanwhile, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. My dad worked at KPLM at KLM. In Portugal, it's KPLM. Oh, okay, no, at the same company, same company. And then there was a moment when they went to do a training in Amsterdam.
Look next to Aya.
And they met. But my mom says she didn't pay attention to him and all, that he was very handsome. She thought he was a bit full of himself. Okay. Sometime later, my mom was already an adult. She was already 23 years old. She went to Rio de Janeiro.
A long time passed after our first meeting.
Sometime, I think about 2 years, okay? She went to Rio de Janeiro to visit her father, my grandfather, and my grandmother, who was separated. She had to visit KLM headquarters for some reason, even though it was her vacation.
It must have been downtown Rio.
I don't know where it is, I really don't, but it must have been downtown Rio. And then that's where she met my father.
What's his name?
Bruno? And then they bumped into each other, and my dad asked my mom out to dinner, and my mom went to dinner with him. He said he would throw a birthday party with many friends, co-workers, acquaintances, and strangers. And my mom said, well, okay, fine, I'll go. And when she got there, there was no one else. It was just the two of them.
He set it up.
He set it up. It was his birthday, so they went to have dinner at Cervantes, there in Copacabana.
Me, known for sandwiches, used to stay open late. Not sure if it still does.
And that's how it started.
What about it? Did your parents move to Portugal?
My mom has always lived in Portugal, and my dad moved there. They dated long distance for a while, then he moved to Portugal.
They both continued working at the same company in Portugal.
Exactly.
What did your father do at KLM? I don't know.
My father worked as a salesman in the commercial department.
And your father just spent a year in Portugal.
My father went to Portugal, and they decided to get married. I think he stayed for about 2 or 3 years. They dated, got married. My mother got pregnant, and I was between 1 and 2 years old. When he went to the United States...
They separated.
Separated?
Do you know what happened?
I know both sides have their own stories, and I think they just didn't understand each other. I think that when a relationship is long distance, it seems like one thing, but when you see it in everyday life, it's different. They didn't have time to date and married right after my father arrived, never really getting to know each other. And they have very different personalities. My father didn't get used to Portugal. They have these different personalities. So it didn't work out, or it worked out as far as it was supposed to.
It worked out since you're here only because of that meeting. Do you recall anything about your parents' relationship?
Zero, nothing.
So your memories of this one here,
Yes.
these are the people from your life, yes.
My earliest memories, yes.
What did not having your father leave in you?
I think it's very hard to talk about, especially because I know my father always sees everything I do, and I know he's going to see this, for example. So I'm always very cautious because I don't want to hurt my father. But I lived like that until I think not long ago. I still have traces of that. A very predominant feeling, a very predominant sense of abandonment, a deep loneliness, a strong sense of rejection. It was something you mentioned in the introduction, and it's something I rarely open up about. It's common for people to have separated parents. Sometimes the father isn't around much and so on. But when you name your feelings and give them a strong name, the story gets heavier. But that's my story, and I lived it. My mother and my grandmother know what I felt, and it was a very strong feeling, really, of abandonment.
As if he didn't want to be with you?
I'm sure that's what I felt. Yes.
It felt like how your grandmother and mother felt about your grandfather.
I don't know. I think so. I think so. I think especially my mother. Thank you, my grandmother. She's very strong.
Very strong, you two.
Maybe I inherited that from my mother, but I think she felt the same about her father as my grandmother did about her husband. I don't think so. I think she got hurt at some point. I think my grandmother got hurt. When she arrived, when she saw what the marriage she had chosen was like, I think she accepted her choice. Afterwards, I believe that's what happened.
And despite that feeling of rejection, what I've come to understand from knowing you is that you had a lot of love at home. A lot.
A lot.
Those two women, Maria and Sophia, loved you a lot, took care of you a lot.
So much. The whole time, even until today.
How was it? Do you remember your childhood with your grandmother and mother in Portugal? Did you go to school? What was your life like?
I remember it was nice. My mother worked a lot. My mother needed to work a lot, and my mother was always out of breath. Because we used to wake up really early, and we had a dog. We would wake up early. My mother would wake me up. She'd make breakfast, walk the dog, return, get me and the dog in the car, take me to my grandmother's, drop me off, then go to work. So my mother worked nonstop, saw me at lunch, then picked me up at the end of the day and went home. Shower, homework, something, bed, then repeat tomorrow. Arriving at my grandma's was always like this. My grandma's house has always been about being with my grandma. It has always been a comfort to me.
You started out living together.
Yes, right after my parents separated, I lived with my grandma for about 4 years. I barely remember the difference between living with my mom and with my grandma since I only started sleeping at my mom's house, right?
Because you spent the whole day with your grandma.
The whole day was with my grandma.
All of this at the port.
All at the port?
And your grandmother was the one who raised you then, or was it also your mother? Of course.
No, my mother, yes, my mother always had to work a lot, and I think that's it. That doesn't distance us in any way. But I believe I have a relationship with my grandmother that's really like grandmother and granddaughter, you know, that real grandma thing. I learned a lot from my grandmother. I experienced a lot with my grandmother. I played a lot with my grandmother. I heard a lot of advice from my grandmother. I was very loved and cherished by her. And my mother has always been my foundation. She has always been my foundation, especially emotionally. She has always been my guiding light. I know exactly who I am because I remember everything my mother told me to think about when I was. I think I had many moments of emotional instability like that for a large part of my life. I went through a lot of emotional instability. And the one who supported me and gave me direction was my mother. She never gave up, even though I went through this for a very, very long time.
Why give up? Why say she never did?
Because I remember my mother saying the same things to me from when I was a little girl until today.
What kind of things?
When I was very anxious or had anxiety attacks, I couldn't sleep. My mom says, Joaninha, pray a little before you sleep. Joaninha, eat something, I don't know. Have some chocolate milk. Turn off your phone, do something, I don't know, watch a movie, but watch a funny movie, then turn it off, count, I don't know, count. Little Sheep, you know that one? My mom has always said the same things to me even today, as if I were still a child. So she gave me patience, she never. When I mention giving up, it's because it makes me think of leaving and not wanting anymore.
Because you were afraid she might leave.
I've always had this big fear in my life. I used to ask my mom before she went to work if she would come back and pick me up from school, making her promise she wouldn't leave. And it was something that my mom would say, oh, Joanna, of course I'm not leaving. Where do you want me to go? Where? And that's why I think the way I do. She never gave up. She stayed with me until today, right?
And then there came a day when you told her, let's leave. Life in Portugal was really hard. In 2009,
It was really hard. My mom's professional life started to get very complicated.
still at KLM.
No, my mom had left by then and changed jobs. My mom worked most of her life at Portugalia Airlines, which I think was a domestic airline that was bought by Transportes Aéreos Portugueses. And then my mom left Portugalia, went to a travel agency, then to another one, and then things started to get tough. I remember that tension. I remember
How old?
I was 14, then moved to Brazil at 15.
It was then.
Not here. That was when I was little. I was younger. And then there's something really funny. I was about 7 years old, and basically all my photos from that time were taken by my dad of my life. This is F.
The one your dad took?
This is a photo with my dad from when he visited me at about that age. He would go once a year, always between my birthday and December, between my birthday and Christmas. He would spend a week there. And those were very happy moments. I remember going to the airport with my mom, waiting for my dad, like every minute that passed. And then there's the whole anxiety thing. My mom asking me to breathe. I would get so excited. My dad, he's coming to see me like this. It was the event of the year. My mom would leave the house, go to my grandma's place so I could stay with my dad at my house so I could show him everything. I want to show him what it's like when I wake up, what it's like when I go to school.
And he would go.
He would go that week.
He would go, and after a year, he would come back.
That's right.
And how was it then, the moment when you said, we can't stay in Portugal anymore, let's go to Brazil, let's go?
When I was in high school, which is our secondary education, I had a lot of trouble getting used to the new school, which was a public school.
Lycée is usually French. That's not the case.
I didn't speak French. We just call it lycée there.
In Portugal too, right? Uh-huh.
And I was already going through a difficult time in my adolescence, not really identifying with anything. I can't really explain it to you, Rodrigo, but I think I had to come to Brazil. I started looking around here and there. I didn't like school. I didn't relate to my classmates. I was having trouble making friends. I had just left another school. I was really struggling to feel like I fit in. At a delicate moment in my life, I had just started smoking. I smoked for many years. I started smoking when I was 14, which is something, right?
I used to smoke a lot.
I never smoked a lot, but I smoked every day. Until I was 27, I smoked every day. And at the same time, this is happening, so a crisis is starting to hit the country. We alone, my mother, my grandmother, and I, alone at the port because my uncle and my aunt from my father's side of the family were already in Brazil. So there was a certain moment when we said, well, we're going to have to rethink our lives. And then I said, Mom, let's go to Brazil. Let's bring the family together.
So coming to Brazil was about reclaiming those moments.
My dad wasn't here.
He wasn't here anymore.
He was in Miami. Coming to Brazil was in Zanotto, trying to have a new life. It was a rediscovery.
You wanted to discover someone else within yourself?
I wanted to find myself. My family is made up of immigrants, you know? There's a little bird inside. There's something that makes us restless, and there's also that thing about energy, too. There's that thing I really believe in. I had to come to Brazil. My story wasn't there, but it was here.
Because your uncle was here.
Because I could feel it.
Your grandfather was also still alive.
No, my grandfather died when I was about 7 or 8 years old.
So what was here that attracted you?
The possibility of a new life.
You didn't consider other places? Your father was in the United States.
No, we didn't have that kind of relationship where I could imagine going there with my mom and my grandma. My mom, grandma, and I were always in a close-knit triangle.
You know?
Really tight, that's it. So we had to go together. There was no way I could go stay with my dad, and they wouldn't.
And when you got here, how much money were you bringing?
I don't know. I was 15 years old and my mom was...
I asked because I know it was very little.
It was small. We quickly sold everything.
Sold what? Did you have to sell your car?
Both my mother's and grandmother's apartments.
They had apartments, so they rebuilt something during that time.
My mother had an apartment she was paying for. My grandmother already had her own apartment from before.
She had it before anything else.
That she rebuilt it. And then we sold, my mom sold both apartments, her car, and we came. We knew we had enough money to build a house. It was a dream to build a house, to literally build a house from the ground up, and that's what we came to do. In reality, what we expected to find here was very different. The money ran out.
What was your dream of Brazil?
The dream of Brazil? It was a U-shaped house, I'm telling you, a U-shaped house with a garden in the middle. My aunt's family, my uncle's family, and mine here, and we opened a bakery, a restaurant. My mom always wanted something like that to work out so we'd be happy. Let's all go for a walk. So that was it.
This U-shaped house is beautiful and was a true family reconstruction.
Just to show you how my mind has always been very creative. I have things in my head. I have things materialized. And then...
A dreamer.
Yes.
When you arrived, did you find this U-shaped house with a garden and bakery for you?
No, of course not.
What did you find?
We lived in my uncle's house for a few months. He lived in Vargem Grande, Rio, isolated from everything.
He lived in a nice house in an apartment.
Not a simple house. It was in Vargem Grande. It was very far.
But it wasn't a poor house in a poor community.
It wasn't a remote house, just a regular house, okay? And we stayed there. We stayed in an apartment. Well, not an apartment. We stayed in a room. My grandmother, Mother I, and our dog slept there since we brought the dog from Portugal.
What was his name? Alf?
Alf from Alf, the stubborn Shar-Pei, slept in our room with us.
For how long?
It was about 4 or 5 months.
And it was in this place that there were drug dealers nearby.
Right? So we went to find a place for us to live permanently. We needed our own space.
And you were spending the money from selling the apartments.
Spending. So for us to find this place, which we later discovered would be in Niterói because it was a cheap place to build. Niterói is close to Rio, but it's not Rio. And at the time, the Oceanic region, which isn't even in the central area of Niterói, it was the place where we could build a house and have a small car, and then we would wake up early in the morning. That's a memory I have and will have forever. We would take 3 buses, 2 or 3 buses to get to the ferry, take the ferry, and then 2 more buses to get to the Oceanic region. We were foreigners. We didn't know anything in downtown Rio, not knowing anything, going to the Portuguese consulate, not knowing anything.
Speaking with a Portuguese accent?
Speaking with a Portuguese accent. My grandma is unique. She's special. My grandma has always been a vegetarian. It's a dietary thing. She likes to eat more. That's what she does. So she makes her own bread. There are always these things. My grandma is particular about places because many people touch things. So she didn't want to hold the bus handrail. Then you might think, oh, she's a snob, right? My grandma is the simplest person in the world, really simple. My grandma wears the same clothes, the same type of clothes every day. But she has this thing, so she wouldn't touch anything on the bus. My mom and I would go there to look. We'd go to the property, and just imagine looking for a property, a place you don't know, where you have to take a bunch of buses. The three of us, three women. And what do I have left from that? How can I go back to that feeling? It's a really funny thing of we weren't afraid. I'm not talking about fear of violence. We weren't afraid of what would come next. I imagine my mother did, but the feeling among the three musketeers was like that. We have a problem to solve. Let's go. We can handle it. Everything will be fine. So we went, we searched, we found the land and started building the house.
And they went to build a house?
Still building a house.
They lived in Varjam Grand.
Then we rented a house, and that's when our neighbor across the street was selling illegal substances. We lived next to a community, next to a street, okay?
The neighbor directly across the street?
He lived just across the street and was a nice person. Everything was fine.
Cocaine, marijuana?
Everything is marijuana, but there was a nearby community behind it. I won't name names just to be safe. But there in the oceanic region, it wasn't a dangerous place like we imagine Rio to be, but it was a place where you had to be careful. There were funk parties, there were.
Have you been to a funk party?
Of course.
And I liked it.
I thought it was curious.
But who are you with?
With friends from there, from Niterói.
From the community by your house?
Not friends from other places. It's a very beachy area, right?
People from your school?
Probably friends from the beach at my school too.
So how did you go from that situation to deciding to study journalism?
I always wanted to study journalism. I always wanted to be a journalist. Always, actually. I always wrote a lot. I always liked to write chronicles, even before I knew what a chronicle was. So that perspective, you asked me, did you like going to funk parties? I like to watch and write about it. Afterwards, it was unbelievable. I was a Portuguese woman, not there for research, but to have fun. For me, it was like, oh my God, people need to know what this is. People need to know how people, not people, relate to each other, because it's a marginalized reality, but marginalized. Why? People there have fun. The people who are there have a reason to be there, I looked and said, my God, that's what people have to enjoy themselves. That's what's within their reach. That's what they can have.
But why did you think other people should know about this? And who were those other people?
The Portuguese people my age, the Portuguese people who are curious about the world. And we're talking about a very specific reality, right? But it's not just about that. I like to see everything. I've always liked to see everything and to tell and to tell. To look from a critical perspective, to always look without trying to judge, but trying to put things from a questioning point of view.
This girl here, she was already in Brazil?
Yes.
She was where it happened.
That was at school.
Before college?
Before college in Niterói.
Niterói, Brazilian friends?
Brazilian friends.
Still has a strong Portuguese accent?
I was called Portuga.
So you went to study journalism at Faixa and Botafogo and took all those buses too?
All of them.
I didn't have a car.
No.
Why didn't you have a car then? Was it because you couldn't afford one or your mother didn't give you one?
No, I didn't have money. My mother had a car. She had a little car that stayed in Niterói because it was very expensive. To go to Rio by car,
you had to pay the bridge toll.
Pay the toll, pay for gas, pay for parking. Imagine from the oceanic region, and my mother worked in Ipanema. There's no way.
So your interest in journalism, was it a personal love for storytelling? It was a desire to tell stories?
A desire to tell stories and see the world. I think that was also something that brought me here to Brazil, and it was something that guided me throughout my life, that led me in my life. I want to see, experience, feel, and smell things. I just want to explore, truly.
Gui, how did you go from that journalism college to Television Globo?
I interned at Agência F. That was my first internship. And I started the selection process for Television Globo. For Globo, it's a selection.
But which year was that?
2012 or 13. I started the selection process and I've always been very determined. Like that. When I want something, I think about it, and for me, there's no other option. I'm gonna make it. I already picture it in my mind, me walking through that door. I'm already there. I just need to find the way to get there.
The wish was to be there, to be on television Globo.
To be on television Globo, the country's biggest name in journalism, just imagine. I wanted it more than anything, and I knew that what was going to get me out of the situation we were in was working. Work well in a good place. That financial situation, that tight spot, that feeling of loneliness, of not having a support network, of not having anything within your reach. You don't have health, you don't have a health plan available to you, you don't have leisure options. I never went out to dinner or lunch with my mom.
Never, we couldn't afford it.
We didn't have money, we didn't have that habit because we didn't have money. We never had the habits and consumption patterns that other families have. Or ordering food. That's also something more recent, but it never existed. Let's get together and do something that requires money, that doesn't exist.
So you didn't have any leisure activities that required spending money? You didn't do?
No, guys, we would go to the beach, travel, for example. No, I began traveling only after I started working. The furthest I went was Buzios with my friends. I had friends who basically paid for me. Like, oh, come with me, don't worry, I'll pay.
You had friends at funk parties and the beach, yet you still mentioned feeling lonely.
Because after you calmed down, I went to the funk party. I checked it out twice, right? I used to go about 2.5 times. I used to spend most of my time at the beach. I went through a real party phase, not at funk parties, but I was definitely a party girl, though I was always really into the beach. I used to bike to the beach with just a snack, no money needed, and spend all day there. When you don't connect with the place that's supposed to be your place, you tend to feel that loneliness. Whenever I talk to people who are immigrants, that's something we have in common, this loneliness, and I already had that strongly since my childhood. I've always felt alone, always. I remember sometimes I would have crying fits. At my grandmother's house, I would call her, Grandma, I want my dad. Grandma, I feel alone. Grandma, I don't know what to do. My grandmother would say, here she goes again. She knew what was coming. It's because your dad doesn't call or because of this or that. My grandmother truly shares my pain. And I had that. It followed me my whole life. I think I wasn't enough, you know? I didn't know where to look. It was something I don't have words to describe to you. It was really a feeling of a lot of loneliness and a big lack of purpose. Like, what am I doing here? But I always wanted to find a light at the end of the tunnel. I knew what, I don't know how, but I want to get out of this.
It felt like I didn't belong.
Of not belonging?
That has already changed.
I think nowadays I feel something different. I'm happy that I cannot belong. So when you're a teenager, for example, at that time when I used to go clubbing, hang out with my friends and all that, I felt like I didn't belong, especially because I didn't have nice clothes and also because I thought I was ugly. I didn't like myself. I didn't get dressed up. I didn't have that, oh, the girls would go to the salon to do whatever. I didn't have that.
Yeah, you thought you were ugly.
I thought I didn't like myself. I didn't have clothes to go out. I was always borrowing clothes. I didn't have shoes like that.
And it was kind of like Cinderella.
No, it wasn't like Cinderella since there was no makeover. I just felt out of place with no friends or role models.
There was prejudice, not with Portuguesa.
No, I never felt that. I always felt very welcomed, really. But on the other hand, my mother always felt that prejudice. The job market is different. I always felt very welcomed. It's much more about me than about others. So I didn't feel like I belonged because I felt something within myself. And today, I don't need to fit in. I enjoy being myself, which is why I live in São Paulo now. I move in circles where people care a lot about ego, status, and position. You work on television, you're friends with whom, what do you drive, what car? You know, that's how things are here and today.
Do you like that?
No, I hate it. And I like being able to not need those accessories to say who I am. So I'm very confident in who I am, in what I carry inside me. I know I let that show wherever I go, with the people I talk to. I know that throughout my life I've been leaving my mark and people recognize me for that. So I don't need any other accessory, any other seal of approval to feel like I belong. I'm complete with myself today, but it was a struggle to get here.
The tattoos are part of that journey for you. Totally. What they say, there are some sayings.
Totally. There are a bunch.
There's a phrase somewhere there is.
There's one where I don't notice my tattoos anymore. This one here, which language?
That's written there.
Is this one in Arabic? I read a poem in English and wanted to translate it into Arabic so no one else would read it.
You chose a secret code.
A secret code, only I can reveal it.
You will say,
I say it. Her demons will always chase her and she will always greet them with a smile.
her demons will always look for her, and she will always bring them down.
Smile,
What's the word? Scream? Scream, She will always welcome them.
with a smile.
With a smile.
And I think this is one of the tattoos that says the most about me. I have here, keep me where the light is, which also says a lot about me. This search for the light.
How do you translate the Arabic poem into Portuguese?
I speak it. Her demons will always haunt her, and she will always welcome them with a smile.
This side refers to the light.
Keep me where the light is.
It's meant to have darkness on one side and light on the other? No.
No, but I later learned our minds work that way with shadows and lights. So it could just be a coincidence. I often tell my boyfriend that my life is... And I'm made of coincidences, so things that happen, I don't know if the word is coincidence, but they're chances that you find surprising. You say, oh, but how? Like, how come? Her parents met in Amsterdam, in her grandmother's country. It's vital to her, her roots and her identity. One of those.
Only you felt something symbolic when you saw that.
I did. This is a photo of my father's building after the building collapsed. Who? Zanato? And my father was one of the survivors. I think half of his neighbors died. I don't remember exactly. 99 people, a little over 100, almost 200 survived. My father was one of those who survived. My father's room, it's right here, so you see this part right here.
Your father was in the part of the building that stayed up when it collapsed. Exactly.
Exactly.
Because there were two in the same condo, but his was the one that collapsed.
The building was U-shaped. And it was this part that collapsed. And my father lived here, the Miami Beach Surfside Beach, actually, well, the Miami Beach. And there's a lagoon here, and my father's house faces the lagoon that night.
Those are the canals, right?
He woke up to a loud noise, then he told his wife and the dog, wait, stay here, I'm gonna see what happened. He opened the door to the living room, and he saw the sea, even though the beach. He felt the breeze, even though his house, his apartment. It was the opposite, so it had just fallen.
Do you know where I was that day? Here.
That's a lie.
I used to live on this street.
I can't believe it. See how things are such a coincidence.
Isn't it amazing?
I'm telling you.
Now we share a desk at the radio station.
You covered it and tried to speak to someone.
I heard about your father. I already saw on television what you felt when you found out that the building where your father was had collapsed.
I went through a situation of almost mourning. What is almost mourning? You cry as if the person had died. You laugh out of relief that the person is alive. And I wanted to rebuild my relationship with my father while giving him a part of myself he never gave me.
Which part?
The warmth, the comfort, you know. I also rebuilt a life. I started a life from scratch, but that seems so small when you let love take over like that. I think that from then on, things started to get very relative. My father needed me, and I gave him everything I could, the most of my company, the most of my understanding. Yesterday, we spoke on the phone, and he mentioned the accident again. My father talks a lot, doesn't like to listen, and always cries. There's a really big trauma there, but it was a moment when we needed to connect more. I had to forgive without there being an apology, and I had to give of myself to help my father. Or just try to help, right? It's arrogant to think you'll save someone, but being there if he needs help is what really matters.
And he accepted your help?
He accepted my help.
Did you always wait anxiously for your father to arrive at the airport? Every minute was filled with a lot of anxiety.
A lot.
How was it when you met your father? At that moment?
It was very hard, yes. Imagine me. Not me. For many years, I didn't have a relationship with my father. And our father-daughter relationship hurt both of us a lot. For him in one way and for me in another. And then I was absolutely helpless. My father had literally almost died and he was alive. It's a very big dichotomy. That was a moment that marked my life. It's unthinkable, inconceivable. Even today, I can't understand how this happens. The Brazilian father of a Portuguese television host who lives in Brazil is one of the survivors. She anchors the news and he will go live. I told my father something I'd never said before. I said goodnight to my father. I said, Dad, I'm so happy to be able to talk to you here today. I want to tell you that you are my hero.
I wanted you to know that you are my hero, okay? Thank you for talking. I'm so happy that you're here talking with me today. Thank you.
I had never told my father that before, and maybe I never would have thanked him.
Why did you say that?
Because I think my father needs to know that he is loved, that everything is okay, that I am very grateful that he exists. My father gave me life. I am alive. I have life. I am who I am because of my father. How we misunderstood each other or how life took us from then on, they were choices made by an adult who maybe didn't know they were choosing. Karma of a child, karma, I don't know. Something that a child had to deal with and learn to deal with, and that shaped me. But he is my father.
That live interview on Band's News was a moment of reconciliation.
I think we had already reconciled. I think for my dad, maybe for my dad, yes, but my dad was so helpless, so lost, so desperate, so sad. I think that my relationship with him became secondary at that point. Our fight, our discomfort became secondary. I was celebrating that he was alive and celebrating him. No.
You cried a lot at that moment.
Yes.
Do you remember your thoughts?
I couldn't believe I talked to my dad for so long. It's like, you know, you have someone you love and you just can't reach them. Because for many years, my dad didn't want to talk to me and I wanted to talk to him. I wanted him to forgive me for being myself. Because my dad criticized me a lot for the way I am, for my way of being. And I wanted him to look at me and say, Joanna, you're great. I admire you. Wow, you're my pride. I still have some emails showing that. I say, Dad, are you there, Dad? Answer me, Dad. I passed the test for something, Dad. I really wanted to show you, Dad. No. When he didn't answer, he saw it and didn't reply. And I would say, Dad, for God's sake, say something. I wanted that. So at that moment, I could be thanking or seeing someone thanking for being there with someone I always wanted. And he was still alive, so it was a feeling of, oh my God, we still have time ahead of us, things to do.
As if we had a new chance?
As if we had a new chance.
When you arrived at Globo, you also faced a kind of rejection. There was a director who told you that you weren't fit for television.
He said I drew too much attention on camera and wouldn't make a good reporter.
You were beautiful, so then you stopped thinking you were ugly.
Didn't you? I thought what he said was absurd and crazy, like this guy's out of his mind. I didn't even think that.
But because of your beauty and also because of your voice.
My voice was very childish.
He said that for those reasons you would never be a good reporter or host.
I never considered being a host. I only wanted to be a reporter.
Have you ever talked to him afterward?
You think I'd waste my time on that? I'm fine.
Never met?
Never met again.
But for some reason you ended up not staying at Globo. What happened?
I was very irresponsible during my internship period. It lasted a year. The internship was amazing. I don't know if you started there as an intern, right?
I joined a trainee program at the beginning of Globo News.
The program was really cool. So that's it. You have that reference. It's a really great program, a program to professionalize students. And at the same time, it was when I started earning a little money because they didn't pay well and I was making great friends. I wanted to go out, party, and explore new places.
And I would stay out until late.
I would stay out until late. And the other interns, I'm fully aware, were much more responsible and dedicated than...
I still smoked at that time.
Yes, of course.
And I drank.
Yes, I drank. But like at night, at parties, no.
But did that get in your way? How? Did you get tired? No.
It got in the way of my focus. I saw the others, they were focused, they were involved, they understood how a newsroom works, they realized they needed to show up, be part of the processes, participate in the meetings. I've always hated those formalities, like, oh, come on, let's just get things done.
You don't play politics, right?
I don't like playing politics, and I should have. You're an intern, you want to get hired. I just wanted to show up, work, learn, do my job really well, and that's it.
And I did it well?
I think I did. I wasn't the best, but I did it.
I can't picture you unfocused.
I was focused, but I'm also very critical of myself, so I think I have the discernment to understand that I could have been more mature. I was immature in my focus and overall behavior.
And then you were let go after the internship. You weren't hired.
It wasn't before the internship ended. They did a restructuring. That was when the television crisis started, all the television stations, right? They started to go through a lot of layoffs that year.
Here we are.
We're in 2014. Okay? The protests.
World Cup 7-1.
2014.
It was around that time.
It was around that time.
War in Gaza. I'm there. You're at Globo.
I didn't even know where Gaza was at that time.
And then you left.
I left and went into total despair. Then it hit me. Actually, I've already written about this, my chronicles. I needed to be able to recover those chronicles.
Right.
I don't know where it is, but I remember writing a text saying, "This is the moment when I realized my life was hanging by a thread. My chances of success, yes, are slim." Responsibility and conscience struck me. What do I do? A Globo News friend recommended me for a job at Band Rio, since I had interviewed there before my Globo News internship. I didn't get in. The selection process at Band was very difficult. It was a test where you had to explain what the role of a city councillor was. I didn't know. I'm Portuguese. For me, there's no city councillor. It's different. Then I was highly recommended. I was hired, and that's when my story, my career really began.
On television.
On television.
To do what you were hired to do.
I was an intern. I did research. Rhonda, call all the police stations. You've done that before, right?
I haven't.
You look with all your credentials. Aren't you a real journalist? I'm not.
No, I started as an image editor to assemble stories and skipped that stage.
You call all the battalions and police stations. What happened? There was a theft at the Botafogo station. I don't know.
And then you would write it down?
Then you'd write it down, guys.
A cat climbed a tree. The firefighter went.
A tree fell. I don't know what else. I did that, but I also went there and I ran the teleprompter. I ran the teleprompter in the studio.
For which news program was it?
Oh, Brasil Urgente?
RIO. So you would give the script to the host to read? Yeah, I liked it.
I loved everything. Rodrigo. I was always fascinated by television and journalism. I thought everything was amazing. Put me at the reception to greet people. I would be like, oh my God, I'm here. I loved it and would check out a studio like that. These days, they're even better. I would look and say, one day I'm going to be there, but it was very far off.
And how long did it take for you to be there in the studio?
Very little, 2 years.
What happened in those 2 years before reaching the studio?
I became a rocket. Each morning, I'd tell myself in the mirror, you're going to be a damn good reporter. I'd look at other reporters like you and at myself. Today, I was thinking as I was arriving here, I saw all your photos. I said, can I say a word? Always damn it, shit. This guy I used to see, who I thought was amazing, I would say, damn, one day I'm going to steal his job. I'm here. Okay, I didn't go there. Wow, my life went in a different direction. Wow, he knows my name? That's impressive. When we met for the first time, I called my mom and said, Mom, you don't know who he is, but never mind. Like, he's the Pope of reporting, so that's it. That's what I said. Just be happy, you know? The guy said, hi, Joanna, how are you? So, like, that time was like this. That's it. Look, that's when we interviewed.
You didn't let any of that show. Ah,
I have respect, you know? What if it bothers you?
proud. I'm really glad to hear that.
But that's what I dreamed of. I became a rocket. I looked in the mirror, just like in a movie, you know? Are you going to be a reporter? I used to think it was ridiculous, but I said it because you need that energy and to vibrate.
That's it, you know?
I began working outside my shift. Though I worked afternoons, I'd come in mornings too. If a reporter was absent, I'd volunteer to cover for them. What can I do in journalism? There's the muda, where you show up, only your hand appears, and you stay silent. You put your little hand in, then like a covered note appears, then you put your little hand in. You did that. Yes, I did everything.
When did it hit you, or when did someone say, hey, she's pretty, has a good voice, and she's talented, journalist?
Oh, I insisted so much. I did so many pilot reports that at a certain point there was an opening for a trainee reporter, and they put me there, they said. Joana, you will keep producing, being a producer, and you'll do some stories out in the field. You'll go on air when you're good enough. As a college student, you're not ready yet.
Who said that?
Back then, someone.
Your boss?
Your boss was Ludmilla back then, and now, if I'm right, she's at Globo News. It wasn't like that. It's not ready yet, and you're not ready. When you are, you'll get in. Great. I said I'm staying. Don't you get it? I'll be more than ready, the most ready person ever. So I'd go home with my phone that already recorded video. Grandma, I need to be a good reporter. I would take the reporter's scripts, print them out at band, and take them home. My grandma would hold the cell phone.
Your grandma became the teleprompter.
No, she acted as my camera since there was no teleprompter app. My grandma held the phone while I used the television remote and read the script nonstop. Grandma, so what did you think? She said, great. I'd watch the video and tell her, Grandma, one eyebrow's higher. And she'd reply, you're crazy. I don't do eyebrows. It's perfect. I'd say, I'll redo it to even them out. I would begin by saying, go, forget my lines, then start preparing. That's how it was, I swear, in my, sixth report. Datena saw it and said, damn, this girl is going to be good.
Was Datena the angel of your professional life?
Yes, and I always say that, so...
That's really cool.
He took me to São Paulo.
Do Brasil urgente.
To Brasil urgente. There's also a story, I'm just telling stories here that I don't tell in public.
I'm really enjoying Datena.
He saw my work, he really liked it. You had
already done some reporting then in Rio?
I did a report in Rio about a condominium, my house, my life, and in a pain, and I went to do this factual piece. Datena really liked it. I went in with the water up to here. That's how it was. It was the first time I did a news story that actually, had an impact. Datena said I was spontaneous and did well. He said, hey, I kept an eye on her. He started asking me to come to São Paulo from Rio to cover for 15 days of vacation. From another reporter who took maternity leave anyway. Okay, I came, and one day he called me to talk, and he asked me a question. He said, Joe, would you like to come to São Paulo? And at that moment, I felt like an energy came over me. And I was honest with him, and I felt this urge to be honest.
I'm not in the mood to go to São Paulo.
No, even worse, I said, yes, I want to come to Sao Paulo, but I don't want to do your show. No, no.
That's a lot of honesty.
Very honest. I was 21.
Because it was a police show.
Me, a police show?
You didn't want a cop.
No, I wanted to be a reporter, just like you over there, you know? I don't want to see the body, you know? And I was already seeing that.
I did.
Okay, and it's part of it.
Late at night, I had to do it.
It isn't included, but I was already doing it.
But I also did everything I could to get out quickly.
The first time I came to Sao Paulo to do his show, I saw a charred body right in front of me. I said, oh, nowadays we even find...
Here's another coincidence. That was the first story that really stayed with me on the night shift. A charred body right in front of me.
It's unbelievable to see that, isn't it?
But I never wanted to see that in my life. It's horrible. Then I did, and one day I'll tell you how it was, how I got out of that.
But that's how I got out. I told her.
But then Datina didn't say, oh, my daughter, but I want you on my show.
He took a deep breath. It was like a few seconds. I don't know if he remembers this. I hope he does because it's a nice story. For a few seconds, he just stayed there looking. He does this, yes, just with one eyebrow like this. And he said, you're right. You have a point. Okay, all right. So I'll see if there's any opening and all. But if I need you, I hope I can count on you. Sure enough, they called me to Sao Paulo for a cafe job involving journalism and reporting. A month later, I was in Brazil at Gente covering the police beat.
Datina set it up so you would be on his show.
Then he kept pulling. I stayed for about 5 months. I said, hey guys, I really don't want to do police work.
You did police work for 5 months? I did too, and saw other bodies.
I did. I saw horrible things. I saw terrifying things. And I didn't want to. I don't have the structure for that. I mean, I don't like it. I don't know how to handle it. That's right. I even considered a postgraduate degree in public security to make the best of a tough situation.
If I'm doing this, it should have substance.
My mother always said, Joanna, be whatever you want. Just be the best. If you want to be a gardener, it's a great profession, but be the best gardener. If you want to be a craftswoman. My mother does crafts, which is great, but she should strive to be the best craftswoman. Don't settle. Give your best and go for it.
You were set on being the top reporter.
I was determined. I was really determined like that. I want to be disruptive. I want no one my age to have done what I'm going to do. I want it ambitious. Yeah, I wanted that. I think it's more exciting.
But I think it's a positive, healthy ambition. Then you joined a program that wasn't police anymore.
No, then I left. I went to do Coffee with Newspaper as a reporter. Julia Duailibe was hosting. She's now a Globo News presenter, but was at band then. Globo News offered Julia a job, so she left, which is common in our field. You can't accept, leave, and keep working elsewhere, and this was on a Tuesday. And at band, they turned to me and said, let's do a pilot with you for the presentation. So...
All right, for this Café Com Jornal...
It was Café Com Jornal?
With Bagali.
Bagali, all right, you do pilots, right? You're at a station. Oh, they test, you record and all that, it's fine. I had already done a terrible pilot for Band News Television Band's cable channel. Awful and dreadful. I agreed to do another one. It was terrible. I did the pilot, finished it, and then they called asking if I could start on Monday. I replied, but what am I starting with? Because I'm terrible, right? Jonia, you'll get good, relax, one day at a time, and I started on Monday.
And it went well.
It wasn't terrible. I was really bad. Actually, there was a viewer from that time who used to message me on Twitter saying that I was really bad.
But rudely?
No, not rudely, just saying, look, you're really bad.
Ah, but that's rude.
Really? But it wasn't a lie. Now she writes, I know what I said was true, but you've changed a lot. You're not like that anymore. Sorry if I hurt you. I have the screenshots.
Why did you think you were bad back then?
I didn't know how to look at the camera, position myself, speak, project my voice, or know when to talk. I lacked a critical sense and had no opinions. I had just started out. I was 23, 24 years old, 23 turning 24. I had no idea what I was doing at 24. You can't host a daily show in our time slot.
Like you're doing today?
You need content, strength, and a leading role. I lacked that. I wasn't the main character, just a supporting role in the background. Magali was the host, but for my role, I was still very inexperienced, very much so.
How did you get here? Hey, how did you get here? This is the map in time.
This is the map in time of
Jornal da Band.
I kept hosting Café como Jornal. I also did reporting, and I started to really be myself. I started to be spontaneous. I got organized. I went after content. I read a lot. I went back to studying focus. When I was covering the truck drivers' strike in 2018, I used social media a lot to inform people. At the time, I had about 10,000 followers and 30,000 views. Stories, which was unthinkable, surreal, because I was the only reporter from the only station. I believe SBT was also present on the highway where truck drivers were not just stopped, but also organizing with unions. That was where everything was happening, and I went there and I could go. They allowed it due to Bochat's reputation. Band can go since we like Bochat. At that moment, I started using my social media because I did live reports throughout the programming. It wasn't something all the time, and I posted all the time. This is happening, that is happening, Twitter, Instagram, behind the scenes. And it went really well. At the time, there were even articles written about it.
That was the first time you complimented yourself to me today?
Because I really did a great job then.
That's when it started.
My bosses called me and said, Joanna, who you are in this video is who you need to be on television. Just be yourself. I wanted to be a journalist, you know? I really had that thing. Oh, a good journalist is only the one who's in Brasilia, who covers politics, who knows how to use big words. I felt really stuck.
Here in Brasilia, today the president announced...
My dream wasn't mine. It was to be like you. But I used to say, I'll only feel like I belong. I'll only be valued if I'm really good at this.
And in that truck drivers episode, did you say okay?
I said, oh, wow, I found myself. So it's that easy. Why didn't you say so? I just had to be myself. So I started doing that every day in the morning, in the news report, on social media, during the presentation. And Café como Jornal ended. And at that time, Café como Jornal ended. The weather forecast presenter for Jornal da Band had also left. And they presented this to me as an opportunity to be on Jornal da Band, the main news program, the band news. And I accepted.
You also began covering for absences. I think this was before Adriana's time, right?
No, it was before. Jornal da Band was hosted by Lana Canepa and Eduardo Eneg in sports. There was Paloma Totti, my sister, my great sister in this life, and I was doing the weather forecast. It was an epic moment in my life. We were close friends, got along well, and work was fun and amazing. And during the pandemic, for many reasons, we started trying out other formats. A news show that was hosted by the two of them and had the two of us as columnists only appear occasionally, right? It started being hosted by all four of us equally, two at the desk, two standing, always rotating. It was like we are all equal. It was dynamic, modern, young, and that was the moment when I felt that I established myself as a host.
Alongside big names?
Alongside big names, and always with the help and support of Paloma, who is a sister. When I came to São Paulo, when I started making coffee at Jornal Brasil, Gente, and everything else, I looked up to Maxima as my idol. I watched Boixá. I thought he was amazing like everyone else does, but I looked at Paloma and said, my God, this woman, she's elegant, intelligent. I want to get closer to her. And I thought about it so much that we became like sisters, and on my first day working in the newsroom at Band, when I was still there filling in for Datena during his vacation, she was the only one who noticed I was lost. I had to record something, but there were people everywhere, phones ringing and moms. It was chaotic. She was like, hey girl, are you okay? She asked if I needed help, and I said I did. I didn't know where to record this. She said, come with me. And that was it. Another coincidence.
Do you always get what you want?
Yes.
Everything you dreamed of is coming true. Everything that was this moment here.
This was a great coverage. Also, it's just that it's awkward to say great coverage next to you. No.
It's a
square in São Paulo, but for me, it feels personal, like your photo in Gaza. Nivaldo Lima, a great friend. That was also something that in my life, gave me an incredible foundation. My relationship with my cameramen. They were a guide. They were brothers, fathers, friends, best friends. In every way you can imagine, they taught me what I know about journalism. And this was another episode where I could be myself, where I stood out, where I was truly me.
This was already at the time when you were hosting, or not yet at that time?
I think I already was, or I was about to start hosting. No, Julia was still hosting. I was about to start hosting. I reported for Café com Jornal.
And this other photo here?
So I was in Rio. I was a reporter in Rio, and Bochat always went there to do this. Then it was a blood donation event. He always took part in these events with Band News Frequency Modulation Radio, and it's the only photo I have with him. Other than that, it's just donating, but it's you.
It started recently. You began to be everywhere, to the point that I thought you had the power of bilocation. I used to say, how is it possible for Joana to be here and also here? You were in a news story, you were hosting the news, you were doing the weather. How did you handle such a huge workload?
I've always liked working. I've always seen work as the only way to even express myself. I express myself through my work. I see myself as a journalist. There's no separation between Joana the person and Joana the journalist. I'm one and I love what I do. It's tough to leave the streets for the studio, but now that's where I am. Back when they needed me, I accepted anything just to earn my place in the sun. My mother always taught me to be very humble, and even what I'm living today is for my mother. Success does feel a bit strange. My success itself isn't what's strange, but the world we move through, which I just mentioned a little while ago. I need to be humble. I want my place in the sun. I need to prove myself. I need to go after it. I need to build. Just because I'm in a studio doesn't mean I'm the queen of anything. Like, oh, look how good she is. Stay right there.
No, you remain extremely humble.
But I think it's a human need.
Some disagree, but they're wrong.
I see this as a basic value. We're all equal, so that's it. I admire all you've built and who you are. You've always been someone I can say this about. I wish I had his professionalism. But when we're side by side, where are we here with our little group? When we're side by side, you and I are the same, you know? I'm not going to turn to you and say, oh, please, I don't know, flatter you and all that. We're the same. I know we're the same, but you've built something amazing. Yes, you have all my admiration for that. That's why I think humility is something fundamental in life.
After 11 years at band, when it seemed like Joana was the face of band, she was everywhere. She hosted the main news show in the absence of Adriana Araujo. Suddenly you surprised everyone with a change. How did you process this invitation that came to you? It wasn't long ago, just a few weeks.
I processed it well. I felt that my future was there. I'm very free. I need to fly. That's what I've always told you. My move in Brazil, right? Moving to Brazil is related. I need to fly. And I was stuck. I had really good visibility, but cognitively I was stuck. I wasn't developing my critical thinking anymore. I had already reached my limit. I needed to face new challenges.
And you didn't see a way out of that situation.
I saw no way out. Unless I agreed to something I would never agree to, which is to settle. I could have a very good salary, a stable life with predictable hours, even if they were very long, right? Weekends working, I worked many hours a day. I did everything, but I had stability there. I worked in a place where I knew they liked me, where the family is very dear. The Sad family always treated me well.
The best references.
I grew up there. They welcomed me, helped me, and had me there. And I could accept that, right? I could stay with that and everything was fine. But I didn't want to settle. I wanted to challenge myself. I needed more, you know? That's what thirst for life is. I need to experience things to write, to tell you, to say it was great, it was terrible, but I just needed more. There I had reached my limit.
I didn't see a position you were aiming for, at least not in the short term.
No. I don't want to be a teleprompter reader. I don't want to be just a presenter just for the sake of being a presenter. Oh, a presenter just stands and reads what's written. I don't care. If they call me a presenter, a reporter, an intern, or whatever, you can call me whatever you want. As a journalist, let me do my job. Ask questions, listen, engage, inspire, and leave my mark. I wasn't leaving my impression of life or the world. I was rigid, and that's what I have to share. It's what I think, live and observe.
And that's how it is. Was that your exit? Did you tell them you were moving? Did they try to keep you there?
I told them I was going to move. I said I had an invitation, and that I was really excited about this invitation. There was a lot of talk behind it. There was much more conversation than I imagined, in the sense of trying to understand if I could stay, if there was something that would make me stay.
Money wasn't the issue.
The invitation was better. Money always helps.
Of course,
It helps.
but money wasn't your motivation.
It wasn't just any challenge, it was the challenge. But I was already turned towards that. I was already focused on a project that I think really suits me. It's fresh, it's young, it's light, but at the same time it provokes, it brings knowledge, it brings important data. But without making the people who are listening feel bored, it doesn't have a rigid format, it's fluid. That made me fall in love with it. I needed to have a bit more of that in my life again, like I had when I was reporting, when I was doing live segments in the morning. But I don't want to go back to doing morning reporting. I want to take some steps forward. So that's what made me accept it.
And what was it about the TMC project that made you say, wow, this project is for me?
When I understood it was a multi-platform project that had investment with the intention of doing something cool that had the means to make it happen. All the cool ideas they were bringing that they proposed to do. A kind of journalism that we don't have here in Brazil, that's free from constraints, that's spontaneous, that really wants to get closer to the Brazilian people, to everyone, with the intention of bringing information. I was enchanted. That's the word. I was enchanted by the project. I was enchanted by the people who were going to be part of the project. I was enchanted by the format, enchanted by the people who were going to be involved, just enchanted. And by the possibilities? In the future, we have many possibilities. We will be able to create, suggest, travel, be present. So that made me want it.
And how has this beginning been?
Very nice.
I know a bit because I see.
You're there with me and it's really nice. I think I've already changed as a journalist. For me, the moment of transition was a major leap in my life. I feel like a different person. I want to be a different person. I want to help build. I'm learning a lot.
It was a mature moment.
It is also a moment of humility. It's not easy to be presenting with people who know a lot about many subjects that you don't master. You need to be tuned in, connected, know what to ask, and help guide the conversation. And not try to show that you know more than you actually do. And at the same time, not show the audience that you know too little. I'm not there to show people that I'm the super genius. I'm there to learn along with everyone else, but I'm not dumb either. So let's work together so we can be a team that adds up. That's a lot of maturity, and that's how it's been.
It's becoming a team. That's how I feel.
When you work with image, and with public exposure, you know that people don't always add up and complete each other. And from the very first day, the synergy between the team in the studio and outside really surprised me. It was so great that I thought, wait, hold on. Can it really be this good? Is that possible?
I'm dreaming again.
People are nice, people are friendly, people are polite, they're professional, people are humble, which is rare in our field. People want to make things happen. Wow, there's no way this could go wrong, right?
And it was in this whole situation that this photo here came up, right? When we got together again.
We ended up on a gossip website. Look at you with that whole journey I admired, ended up on the same gossip website as me.
In the same post.
In the same post, exactly.
We'll be together for years.
I hope so. It seemed like a conspiracy here, but it wasn't. None at all. Joana, Treptow, and Rodrigo Alvarez left the band. No, it wasn't.
Looks like we planned it, right? But no, we didn't. Look, I'd like to invite you to move on to the second part of our conversation.
Okay, but is anyone really going to watch so much about me?
A lot.
That's scary. Okay, let's go.
Let's go, let's go. Do you have any doubt that people will, if they'll make it to the end of the conversation?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But still, I trust your work.
I'll call your listener now. Joanna wants to know if you'll stay with us until the end. Let's go to the second act, and people will stay with us because there's a lot of cool stuff coming up.
I have a lot to tell.
So let's go.
It was even more beautiful than I expected.
It's good that we have something cool here, right? This is your spot, this is your microphone, you're used to microphones, but this one is really nice. Remember, it's here to serve you. Pretty cool, right?
Very.
And I position myself here.
It wasn't always like this, right?
Only this countertop was here. I wanted to create a kitchen, but thought, what does a kitchen mean here? I'm not a chef, so let's put the kitchen inside the library. Good.
Yeah, you couldn't have it here.
I needed books and a place, so I decided to handle both together. That's cool.
It turned out cute.
Right? So for us, an orange cake with some wonderful cheese.
Oh, how delicious.
Do you want to start with the cheese? I do. I'll put it right here in the middle. I wanted to offer you, if you want, obviously I have red and white wine. Let's have some.
Let's do it.
Which one do you want?
White?
White, got it. I was considering that too. Glad you chose it. Want a drink? Water, sparkling, or still?
Yes, I trimmed a little here.
No, we're home. This is our snack.
You visit here even when not filming.
I'm here every day. Because if I'm not filming, we're doing something else. I already know.
I know how to find.
Yes, everyone is welcome. Come here. There's a good space to read or work with tables. Go ahead.
So there are ideas, right? Isn't that great?
I was going to ask you something.
I ate with my hand. I grabbed it and ate with my hand.
I ate with my hand. You're at home.
I just washed my hand.
You know what I was going to tell you? I'm really curious to hear you talking to me. And from Portugal.
You always ask me to do that when we're on air.
So you're up for it. Go ahead.
But now you want to continue?
Let's perform the entire second act in Portuguese.
I sometimes forget, but let's try, though I think people won't understand.
Let's see. I think they will.
We try a little bit and then I'll come back.
Okay, that's normal for you, right?
Yes?
How do you switch from a Brazilian accent to Portuguese? Is it like using a different language?
Yes.
You flip the Brazil switch.
When you start, you speak English.
Right? And when you start speaking Brazilian, you speak Brazilian?
Portuguese from Portugal is also a different language.
It's another language. It is.
You put things in front of me that I can't stop eating. I love to eat. I love to eat. And another thing about me that you need to know that my mom also taught me my whole life. It's just that I think it backfired. My mom always taught me not to stand on ceremony, and I hardly ever do. So if you leave this here in front of me, I'm going to eat it all.
We're similar, but sometimes I see that as my flaw. I just accept things. Like if you want to sit, I go along.
As you saw, I was about to grab the bamboo.
Grab the bamboo, this cheese here, this food. Look, we have a friend of ours called Keholatra, whom I always want to thank because he sends us these wonderful things.
He sends all of this.
There's a store in São Paulo with food and drinks. It has everything there, everything from Brazil.
I love this cheese.
Right? It's all Brazilian, really good.
Great partner.
Funny that I say that when I ask you to speak in European Portuguese, right?
A great partner to have.
This wine is interesting. It's called the winemaker's secret because it doesn't list the grape variety, encouraging people to guess, but I won't.
I don't know much about white grapes, do you? It's just for us.
I don't know any grapes. No, I don't know anything about wine.
You don't like wine from Portugal?
I love it.
You've already forgotten Portuguese? You've switched languages again?
Oh my God, yeah, I said I was going to forget.
Go back to Brazilian?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when we're doing the live show, you drop some European Portuguese. Sometimes I hear a little accent there.
I think that's just the way I talk. I think it's kind of half and half. I don't know, when we talk really, really fast, when the thoughts are really fast, sometimes it just slips out.
Really? When it's really fast, you switch to Portuguese. I'll leave this here because there are some little bugs around wanting to. I'll just leave it here and we can take it away whenever we want, okay?
Is it natural for you to switch to Portuguese from Portugal?
Yes, I like it.
It is.
Cheers to the roots, to our roots.
I have Portuguese, Spanish, and German family.
What's your name? Your full name?
Rodrigo Nascimento Alvarez, and the German one, Berlander, which my father had, ended up with my father. My brother's name is...
But everyone is here in Brazil.
My father has already passed away, but the family here, my grandparents, they all passed away. I met my grandparents. My mother lives in Rio.
My mother's side, it's all Portuguese, all Portuguese.
I recently learned my great-great-grandfather was Jewish, served as Brazil's Minister of Finance, and appears on the 1,000 reais bill.
You're kidding.
Davy Moretson from Campos.
He's your what?
My great-grandmother Vera, my great-great-grandfather's daughter, spent a lot of time with me. Amazing, right?
Amazing.
I learned I have Jewish ancestors on both sides.
How did you find that out?
Some cousins researched my father's side, and I learned this news from my mother's side.
Amazing.
But my last name is Arabic. Alvarez is Arabic.
Everything that starts with Al is.
It could just be an Arabic name given to a Jewish family from the Iberian Peninsula. There's no real evidence of Arabic origin. Which I would also be very happy to have, but apparently there isn't. Funny how things turn out, isn't it? When you got here, you spoke completely with a Portuguese accent, yes? And people used to joke around a lot.
They teased you a lot.
What kind of jokes did they make?
They'd say, Paul, Portuga, take the egg out of your mouth, because I spoke with that accent. I would say, look, you know what, whatever, and they'd say I had an egg in my mouth. My friends from Niterói still call me Portuga, a nickname that faded, but I really love being called Portuga.
When we discussed it on the show the other day, I asked where you feel you're from.
What do you mean by how do you feel? Brazilian or Portuguese?
Portuguese.
That's your original nationality, right? Your origin?
Yes, I'm an immigrant.
Even though your father is Brazilian?
Yes.
Your Brazilian passport was naturally Brazilian. You didn't have to look for it, right? It's something that just came to you anyway. Portugal, of course, you stayed there until you were 16.
15 years old, actually.
And how do you see Portugal today? How is the country now after you've been away for so long?
My city is beautiful. Porto is unbelievably beautiful. It was always a wonderful city, but it lacked investment and couldn't attract tourists like it does now. It was a city that was old, not an ancient city. It was a historic city. There was little that was new. There were few young people there. Right after the crisis, in an effort to get out of the crisis, the city went through a revitalization, renovation. Anyway, and it's beautiful, 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 beautiful.
There's a beautiful bridge, not Dom Luis, but the Gustavo Eiffel Bridge, right?
It's not Dom Luis?
It's called Dom Luis. I don't know the name, but I've been there a few times to launch books in Porto with my Portuguese publisher, Editora Porto. That's cool, so I visited several times. The city is beautiful, but it was abandoned.
That's how I see it. Yes, I think so. Kind of abandoned. We thought it was beautiful and enough, but it didn't attract tourists, and I didn't see the numbers. The port is often chosen by travel magazines as the main destination, for Europeans. It's nice and affordable.
But it's a bit chilly, right?
Summer is unbearably hot.
People swim in the river there. Yes, in the Douro itself. Have you ever swum in the Douro? Yes, it's already...
Yeah, you go in and come out.
Do you like Portuguese wines?
I love it. I like Portuguese cuisine.
What do you like? What's your favorite cuisine?
It's francesinha.
What is francesinha?
Francesinha. People need to look it up on Google to understand, but you really have to try it. It's a kind of sandwich assembly, but the sauce is really good. It's made with port wine, with piri, a kind of chili pepper we have, and it's amazing. There are all kinds of sausages inside. All our sausages, in other words.
It really tastes just like your grandma's cooking, right?
Isn't my grandma's food Portuguese food?
No, for me.
She used to cook meat. My grandma is a vegetarian, mainly because of the war. She saw many bodies, which really confuses her. She went hungry, there was no meat, so that's something she carried with her.
Because of the war, she quit eating meat.
She stopped eating meat.
Because she saw ghosts.
My grandmother strongly associates it with that. I'm not sure if that's why, but when I ask, she says, no, I won't eat corpses. During the war, we had no meat. Afterwards, I saw I don't even know what, and wow, I can't even think about it.
She never ate it again.
She doesn't eat it. She doesn't eat it.
But for you, did she cook? What did she make?
Bolognese, stroganoff.
Ah, nothing typical.
Nothing typical or typically Dutch. She makes some desserts. I don't know their names. Maybe stroganoff.
Stroganoff is Russian, not Dutch, right?
Stroganoff isn't Dutch, is it? But it was food for kids because she took care of a bunch of kids, so she made food for a lot of kids.
You and I were among them, spending time with those kids.
Yes, it was really nice. Some were my age, some younger, some older. In fact, there's one of those kids that I call my cousin, and I still spend time with him today. Look, it's always like this. If Louise...
Who's your age?
Louise is a year younger than me, Louise. He lives in Munich, where he studied medicine. He used to spend a lot of time at my grandmother's house with me. We were like a little duo, always fighting, slapping each other. I grew up with Louise and looked up to him since I don't have siblings.
So Louise was a
Bit like a brother, yeah. And Louise got himself a Brazilian girlfriend.
I can't believe it, and he came here.
He's in a long-distance relationship.
He's in Munich.
He's in Munich. But my boyfriend and Louise got along really well. They became really good friends. Louise's girlfriend, Louisa, and I became close friends. We travel and spend time together with the four of us whenever we can.
So you're planning to bring Louise to Brazil now?
Louise must come to Brazil to marry Louisa. The Louises have to get married. There's no other option. I'm very proud of him, her, and their relationship. Once again, life brings one of those coincidences. How is it that Louise, who was such an important person to me in my youth? Anyway, in my childhood, he ended up dating an amazing woman who became my friend, who also became a safe haven for me, here, who lives 8 minutes from my house.
You were the one who introduced her to him.
Not right when he started dating, he introduced us. And since he's off and away, we meet up when he's not around. And she became a great friend.
Look at that. But then it must have also mattered that he met you, you being Brazilian, and he was more open to things from Brazil, right?
No, it's not that. She's actually an amazingly incredible girl. She's Luisa Sonza, a singer. Oh yes, she...
Look at that.
They met and of course he fell in love. She's really cool.
They met during her tour.
They met, I think it was online, like that.
And what does he do?
He's a doctor, he's going to be a plastic surgeon, or maybe he already is, I don't know. He's doing his residency, I'm not sure. And he's coming to Brazil.
To live.
To live, he needs to. I want them as my children's godparents. No discussion. My boyfriend's brother and Carla, my sister-in-law, are for the first, and the second must be them too.
When you were arriving here, people found your accent strange, but you also found the Brazilians' accent strange.
It's not like I was always around it. Portugal consumes a lot of Brazilian culture.
What did you consume?
Ivete Sangalo, Seu Jorge, Malhação, everything. Soap operas.
It was part of your routine.
I watched Malhação every day. Remember when you said I can achieve anything I want? I watched it every day, just like you said. There was a season of Malhação that I was obsessed with, really obsessed. There was a time, I must have been about 10 or 11 years old maybe, when I came to Brazil on vacation with my mom to visit my uncle, my mom's brother. And I'm at the beach in Leblon, a child tourist. I look far away and see an actor from Malhação who played the father of the boy I loved in the show, who was the main character. Oh, Mom, it's the father of, I think his name was Gustavo.
And who was this actor who played the father?
Eduardo Lago.
Did you talk to him? I did.
So what happened then? Did Eduardo Lago and my mom date?
I don't believe it because of this moment.
Because of this moment. Someone I deeply adore. This weekend, I watched a Netflix series where he plays a great role. The show is about organized crime in Rio. And just so you see,
But that was after you moved to Brazil?
so I was already 10 years old.
They dated while you were in Portugal.
Uh-huh.
What a story.
He used to go there, spend time, and my mom always came.
You have a magic wand?
It could be anything.
Anything, uh-huh.
And so you didn't find anything strange in Brazil? No, did you find anything strange maybe if you didn't have your house and you didn't have that dream that you...
It's very different when you travel to a place, when you emigrate out of necessity.
For you?
Thank you. It's different when you emigrate with a bit of tourism, you know? Because you look at the place differently. It's different when you need it and when you enjoy it. Many people moved to Portugal, took advantage, changed their lives, and got to know the country in Europe. We needed to survive, so it felt really strange to me. It's not the people, accent, or culture, but rather the lack of structure, support network, and references.
For example, poverty?
For example, I found poverty strange. I found it strange. The public hospital, the access, right? Access to education. I always studied in public school. Well, not always, but most of my life in public school.
They were good.
Great. My mom chose public school for me.
You came here and attended public school?
Not private school. And we didn't even know how to do it. How do you join in the middle of the school year? The processes here are really difficult.
When did you arrive? It wasn't early in the year.
We came exactly on the day, June 18th, 2009.
And what else was strange? What took you a while to get used to?
The way people interact is strange.
What's strange about it in that sense?
As a child, I used to spend a lot of time outside. I would walk everywhere. I didn't study close to home, but I would walk from school to home. It was a 40-minute walk. It was fine. I would talk with my friends. We would stop and have some coffee with milk. We were very independent and felt very safe, so we did a lot of things. There are a lot of things to do in the city. I used to go out when I was on vacation. I would go a lot. My grandmother would go with me and Luizinho to the city park.
I lived in downtown Porto.
We lived in Boa Vista. You know it?
Not well enough to know the neighborhoods.
But it's a central area, a very central area.
So you truly saw the city.
You enjoyed the city, and I missed that. In Brazil, people interact inside their homes or inside a restaurant.
I feel the same way. We move from place to place here, but not within the city.
I used to live in the city and visit often with my grandmother frequently taking me out. Let's go to I don't know where. Sit down, make a drawing, pick up all the different kinds of leaves from the trees that you're going to map. You're going to make one, right? Then you're going to trace it.
So you used to walk a lot and...
You stopped walking. You used to walk a lot.
Then you walked just on the beach.
On the beach. Yeah, that's it. Here you have the issue, you know. You go somewhere, you don't enjoy the journey.
You don't enjoy the way because the way is so beautiful, right? Yeah. And did you miss those things at first? Yes.
Yes, I did.
You never thought about going back.
No, for us, it wasn't an option. You don't have money to go back. You have to make it to the next day, right? It wasn't another option.
Don't you want a little cake? No.
No, I'm still eating cheese. I'll have cake later.
That's why I say that.
I haven't tried this one yet.
We're in a moment that didn't begin today. It's been about 10 years that Brazilians have been going to Portugal, and maybe it's hard for Brazilians to understand why the Portuguese came to Brazil. There was an economic crisis, but it was global, not just in Portugal.
No. But which sector, which was the first sector affected? You can get a bank.
Not sector, it was a banking crisis, right? Yes, not real estate, property.
Tourism.
Tourism declined, money gone, no more travel.
Nobody travels anymore. Portugal remains very dependent on Spain today. Portugal gains little from Spanish or European tourism overall. So the money dried up. My mom worked in tourism.
And the money dried up there in Portugal, okay? But then, why could Brazil be a solution to this problem?
What hopes did you have for Brazil in 2009?
Brazil? Optimism was high. There would be a World Cup, the Olympics, and the economy was thriving. That was the image being shown to the world.
It was real. Did you believe it when you arrived?
You changed your mind quickly, right? That cover of Oh.
Christ the Redeemer flying, but it came down right after, right? Yeah? There was a cover of The Economist later that showed Christ already coming down.
Right, coming down? I think so.
2 after or 3 after those?
That was it. So we came at a time when we thought it would be great, but it was much more because of the family. Let's build together. Together we can...
Because in Portugal it wasn't possible.
I think it was possible, but we couldn't wait.
Do you think it was possible? You were the one who influenced everyone, your mom, your grandma. I don't think it was just like that. Joana came up with the idea, but actually we thought it was the best thing to do for Brazil. That's how it was, with that clarity. Yes, that's how it was.
They really thought it was the solution.
When she arrived, your mother was disappointed.
Uh-huh.
With what?
With everything.
Everything?
But I think that's already something very intimate for my mom, you know? Uh-huh. But me too. I thought we were going to be able to do this, and the three of us ended up alone, right? And my grandma, she's 85 almost. The idea was for grandchildren and children to be close.
And a grandson was here.
Everyone was here.
Your uncle's children?
And my aunts?
So there were 2 uncles and you moved in with them? He was in Vargem Grande, not Niterói, which was very far away. Our initial idea actually came true for us.
No, it didn't come true.
Are you the next one for them? Today I am.
Some are in Rio, others in Portugal, so we're not close. My mother and grandmother have always been my core.
And you ended up fulfilling a dream, which was finding a secluded place for your grandmother to live. They live on a small farm now.
That's it.
What was that dream?
When I came to São Paulo, I was very young and I was really scared about being far from my mom and my grandma. Imagine I was always afraid of being abandoned or alone, you know? I was leaving my foundations and moving to São Paulo. When Dachina called me crying, I accepted the offer in Rio, which was made to me while I was crying.
And they would stay in Rio.
They stayed in Rio, and then the goal was to come, grow in my career, and go back to Rio. Who knows, maybe Globo? But at a certain point in my journey, I realized that here in São Paulo at Band, with all the opportunities I was getting, I would be able to have the life I dreamed of in São Paulo. So I called my mom and said, Mom, it's not that I don't want to come back. It's just that here we'll be able to have a better life. I think you and Grandma could come since nothing is holding you back. Our house was in a bad location.
Back in Niterói, Piratininga wasn't.
It was dangerous. In fact, on that day, another coincidence, my mom sold the house on a Tuesday, signed the papers on a Tuesday, and on Friday, the next door neighbor was kidnapped. From the tiny house next door, really close. My mom was supposed to leave there. It wasn't a safe place. On the contrary, it was a very dangerous place. There was no infrastructure at all. Our living room wasn't really a living room. It had a dining table and chairs, but no television or actual living room area. How many meters each?
How big was this house?
I don't know.
But it was really small.
90, really small for us. It was really small. It wasn't comfortable. It was hot as hell. It was a poorly built place. I apologize to the later buyer, but it was very hot. It didn't work. And then I told my mom, since there's nothing keeping you there, why don't you come to São Paulo?
Was your mom working?
Yes, my mom always worked.
She could visit São Paulo easily.
My mom could, since her job is hybrid, so she could request a transfer and still work from home. And she said, okay, but let's see what we can buy and all. I said, no, let's do this. From today until I'm 30 years old, all the money I earn, I'm not going to change my lifestyle. All the money I earn, I'm going to save. We're going to sell this house, then I'll add the rest and we'll buy a really nice house for you. And that's how it went. My mom started working with me, and it's funny because I used to do it, right? Ceremonies, all kinds of things that journalists are called to do, events and such. And my mom took care of everything. That was her way of participating. And then...
Your mom was your manager.
Manager. She never claimed to be my mom. I'm Joana Treptow. She's Sofia Figueira. And my mom is a super charismatic, polite, very professional person. Really, really. And people always told me, wow, Sophia, your mom, she's amazing. And that's how it was when I turned 28, I think. I bought the house, the two of us.
2 years early as required.
2 years before the deadline. I think the house is beautiful. My grandmother has some reservations, okay, because the land has a lot of trees and she thinks the trees are rotten.
It's a lot of work, yeah?
It's a lot. It's a kind of nature that she prefers the nature in the Netherlands, She thinks it's different.
Tulips?
Yeah, she prefers tulip fields. Sorry, we didn't find the tulip field. But I think it's a beautiful house. It's a spacious house. It's a comfortable house. It's a house close to me. Tomorrow I'm going to leave work and have lunch with both of them.
And both of them live there?
Both of them live there.
That's beautiful. Your mother loves you. I found that out during the phone call. I called her.
What she said, she
really loves you. I'd do anything for Joana. I wanted her to come here, but she was too busy working.
Okay.
She works a lot.
My mom works a lot. Always. That's what I told you. She has always worked a lot.
Still in the tourism sector.
I still have that in me. I think working from home, I always saw my mom working. Always.
So your mom was your example?
Yes.
And how do you feel about having managed to get this house?
I'm very grateful to my mother. I used to feel it, but today I go to therapy and I know it's not something I have to carry as a burden. It's not a burden. But I've often felt that my mother gave up her life for me. I think that when you have a child, you have a responsibility to another person. My mother took on the full responsibility without restraints, unconditionally. My mother took care of me, made me everything I am. It's because of what my mother did, what my mother taught me, the places she took me, how she introduced me to the world. My mother always watched a lot of movies with me, with a moral lesson. You need to do this. You can't lie. You can't do this or that. You can't be too vain. You can't be like that. You always can, but not with that annoying person who keeps nagging you. Not always with examples, but why? And in many moments of my life, I would say, Mom, but will this really happen? She would say, daughter, if you do it like this and like that, go ahead, trust, believe, visualize it. So I have a very deep feeling of gratitude for my mother and my grandmother. Knowing that they can finally have at least a little comfort brings me peace. Because it's not just a beautiful, comfortable house. That doesn't get so hot. My grandmother used to feel sick from the heat. It's a house where little monkeys come every day and my mom feeds the little marmoset. It's a house where my mom can stay up late watching television on the couch, which she didn't have before, and my grandmother goes to bed early. And it's also a guarantee that if something happens to me, my mom has something she can use to have some security, some comfort.
That's usually a concern mothers have for their daughters.
My mom was fed up with me. She really wanted at any cost to buy an apartment. She financed an apartment in Portugal. And when she got here in Brazil, she bought a plot of land to build a house. It's that mentality of you'll have a place to die if necessary.
A very Portuguese mentality.
Very Portuguese.
You were very Portuguese, saying you wanted to give a house to my...
I want to.
I wanted to know what you're thinking for the future, but I didn't want you to answer now. I wanted you to answer that in our next and last third act.
Okay, I'll start the cake.
So eat the cake. This cake looks promising too.
Notice I didn't use the fork and knife, just played with them. I eat with my hands.
I already know that I left the act here. I hope you can remove your shoe.
I can't. It's taking longer than yours. Is it okay?
I wanted to throw you, let you get into a good position. Let me light it. Do you like the scene?
I love it. I like it a lot. In this case, it makes no sense or has any soul, but it's good.
Right?
It's good. Ready? I'm comfortable.
Okay? The idea here is that you don't look at me and I don't look at you because we're going to look inside ourselves, okay? You are 31 years old today. Uh-huh.
Where does Joana Treptow want to be in 20 years when you will be exactly my age?
You are 51.
I'm 51.
I want to be traveling the world, getting to know new places.
But you've already done a bit of that.
New experiences, yes, but with freedom. I want to have freedom with my schedule, my time, my mobility, and my responsibilities. That's how I want to be.
You won't be in Brazil 20 years from now, no.
I'll be abroad.
You won't be living here.
No, you'll be in Portugal. I'll be based here. No, I won't be in Portugal either. No.
Can you imagine which country it will be?
I'll have a base in Italy. I'll travel to Nepal, come back and make a quick stop in Iceland, then return
So really,
to Ethiopia, then come back.
your idea is to travel around the world.
I want to travel.
Do you want to travel for vacation or work?
I want to travel halfway at a pace that's not like someone who's working. I mean, when you travel and work, you have a lot of commitments, right? Time, schedule, but what about someone who's exploring?
I want to write what you want.
Who knows? Maybe I can. One of my dreams was even to teach. It couldn't be just writing what I want to write. I want to write about places, write about people. I really wanted to write a lot about journalism.
Fiction.
I really want to write about fiction. Last year, I went to Italy and stayed in a small town that I can't remember now. The name, damn, it was inside, practically inside one. Oh, no, I stayed inside a castle. I slept inside a castle.
In Italy.
In Italy and in Albania. It wasn't in Italy, it was in Albania. And then as soon as I walked in there, I already imagined a story that I wished I had written.
What was it?
A girl who lived in a castle in the Middle Ages who wasn't a princess, and, well, the story would unfold from there. But
Girl, does she look like you?
I don't think so.
No.
I'm not that self-centered.
No, but I said more like
I know it's trendy, but not a reference.
that we sometimes have, right?
Don't we?
And the chronicles you write, we will definitely read.
I need to write more. I need to stop, sit down, and make it a habit.
So let's do an exercise. In 2045, what will Joana have done and what will she be doing? You will have already written some books, right?
Right.
Will you continue being the host of a multi-platform channel? I don't think so, no. Will you continue working as a journalist?
Yes.
Yes.
I can hardly do anything other than journalism.
So, if you're not going to be presenting, you'll be traveling the world, making documentaries, maybe.
Possibly writing or making documentaries. But we don't know if in 20 years this documentary format will be as we understand it. But yes, living things, gaining experiences.
Documentary is a genre that's been around for millennia. Maybe it won't end, right?
I don't know. People are changing so much the way they like to consume content, right? We have to go out of our way to get people's attention, to make them care about important topics. It's hard, you know?
Do you think you or the hosts will be replaced by artificial intelligence?
No,
No.
There will always be someone to tell you what's happening in the world.
Yes.
but I didn't understand where you will be. So you will be a correspondent, a traveler.
I can be a correspondent, I can teach, I can write a book, I can do a lot of things. I still don't know for sure. I want to have a family, I want to...
You want to have kids? I want that moment to be close.
I say what, close, so it won't?
Are you planning to have kids soon?
Yes, in the next few years I want to.
We're still in the 2020s.
In 2 years I want children.
How many children do you want?
I want 3, but my boyfriend insists on 2, so we're stuck. Since you have 3, you can share your experience.
But I had my 3. There were 2 different negotiations. First marriage, Hector, and then the second, my current marriage, Audrey and Raphael. So I wanted 3.
But I think 3 is a whole different thing. You need a different car, you know? You need...
Not a different car. It won't?
No, because imagine 2 is kind of manageable, but with 3, you already need a bigger car.
Only if you're counting on having a nanny?
Not counting suitcases, backpacks. I like to go backpacking with 3.
It's pricier. Airfare is already expensive, right?
Is that going to be...
But look, 3 people have a magical chemistry, you know? A magical imbalance? I would say having 3 kids, maybe because with 2 it's kind of one or the other. It's here and here, or just one. With 3, there's always a shifting triangle, right?
Always odd, right?
It's really a healthy imbalance in the existence of 3 children, and even though mine are from 2 marriages, they get along very well. Hector, I separated from his mother when he was 2 years old. We maintain a very strong relationship. He's always here with me, and he feels very close to his siblings.
Oh, that's so good.
He's a lot like Rafa, though I call him Rafa, not with an A. That was the condition for accepting the name Raphael.
With Anna Christina, I said, look, his nickname is going to be Rafa. It's not because of the feminine, nothing like that. It's just that I didn't want a very common nickname. Everyone has that nickname. I said, let's at least use a different nickname since this is a name that everyone has. Let's use a nickname that nobody has. She agreed, and he only recognizes himself as Rafa. When he arrived in France, people called him Raphael. They would say, Dad, here in France, my name is Raphael. In Brazil, I'm Rafa. No, my son.
No, your name is really Raphael. But I like the number 3, you know? Are you going to end up reconsidering, and do you already have names for your children?
No, there aren't any names.
You've never thought about that?
Oh, I have, but not so definitely.
Will you stop working to raise your kids or keep working? You don't think about that, O'Fields.
I will. I'll take care of them. I'll juggle everything. I'll find a way.
I'll take them to TMC and let the love grow.
Say, Rodrigo, you had 3. Help me here. Hold 1.
This one, I'm heading out to see Mom. Help me. And the idea of one day actually going back to Portugal exists.
No, I don't have that desire. I want to explore new places.
Nelson Mandela, who is someone I admire a lot,
He used to say that a human being should die in the place where he was born.
does that make sense to you?
No. No, because I want to die married, and my boyfriend is from here in Sao Paulo, and I'm from Portugal, so yeah, we're screwed. We'll have to find neutral territory, yeah. We can't.
And do you think our profession will still exist in 2045, 20 years from now?
It won't. You can't train an intelligence, a computer, a robot, whatever system to give you perception. We give it a sense of temperature that only the eye, only touch, only by smelling can we really get, you know? Only by getting emotional, by being touched by something. You've had some emotional moments. What was the most emotional in your career? An image that you can look at and say, man.
Right? It's not always the most emotional from a human point of view. But the moment I remember the most was when I saw a tornado, when I went looking for tornadoes in the United States. And then on the 8th day, I was in front of two, but the first one that came down right in front of me, the amazement I felt. I was so amazed by that. I still dream about it to this day, about that tornado. I still dream about tornadoes to this day. And it's not a nightmare, it's a positive dream. I want to see it again. It's such a spectacular phenomenon. It shows nature so brilliantly.
Yes.
That I will never forget that day. In fact, there's even a photo here that I didn't take of the tornado, that one up there, because I couldn't take the picture, right? The camera back then was large and didn't take pictures or anything. After the tornado passed, I wanted to remember the moment and took this first picture.
Wow, beautiful.
Which was a cloud. I love clouds, especially heavy ones in storms. It's crazy, but I really do.
But it's the force of nature, you're right.
I have an obsession, which is to experience nature where it's rawest, where it's most untouched. And that's why I live with this daily conflict. Living in Sao Paulo, dreaming of the Amazon, dreaming of the desert. I love the desert. So maybe in 20 years when you have...
I'll go there to see you.
Yeah, we'll meet somewhere in a desert, somewhere. I'll have my cabin, I'll live like a Bedouin.
Anna is a saint.
Why are you saying that?
Because she's gonna have to agree, right?
She agreed to go to Jerusalem, Berlin, France, the United States, and Sao Paulo. She always agrees.
That's great, that's it.
Partnership isn't about putting up with me, you have to be a saint.
Look, I wanted to thank you. Thank you so much for spending this afternoon here with me. It was wonderful.
It was really nice.
It was really good. I got to know you better. I already knew you a little, but nothing compared to how much I got to know you now.
Today felt like therapy, didn't it?
And look, we're going to spend a lot of time together now.
Oh, I hope it lasts for many years.
It will last.
Don't go to the Amazon or the desert.
Not yet, still no time.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, Rodrigo, for the invitation. I loved it and thought the format was brilliant. The depth is so rare these days, right? Talking about your content, research, delivery, and how beautiful this place is also reflects a lot about you.
Thank you very much, thank you. Yeah, Otavio, this is really cool.
Thank you, I loved it and got some amazing photos.
I wrote the book of the first immortal. This statuette is one of the oldest in human history, but it's just a replica since I can't get the original. Imagine, but it was the restorer who gave me the replica to take this photo I was with.